Welcome. This is Sojourn with Words. I'm your host, Sister Joy, right here on CTV in Prince George's County. We're excited today because, you know, we always present the best poets in the area. And today we have just that, Mike Maggio, who is a poet, author, educator, world traveler. Well, I'll stop there because we want to hear from Mike himself. But we definitely are very excited to have this young man who is known for not just poetry, but fiction writing. And he's got a novel out. I think he has seven books? 7 books. So we're definitely going to hear about a little bit about each one. But in particular, we're going to hear about your most recent book of poetry, which is titled, you tell us?
Garden of Rain.
Garden of Rain.
Subtitle, Le Jardin de Pluie.
Okay, I'll let you say that.
Okay.
Okay, let me share a little bit about, for our guest, about Mike. He has published fiction, poetry, travel, and reviews in Potomac Review, the Montserrat Review, Pleiades, I'm hoping I'm saying it properly, Appalachia Quarterly, the Northern Virginia Review, LA Weekly, the Washington City Paper, Beltway Quarterly, Pig Iron, DC Poets Against the War, Washington Independent Review of Books, and others. Now, there will be several books that we're going to be talking about today, but of course we're talking mainly about Garden of Rain, his most recent. He has a novel that came out a while back. I think it was last year. November, The Wizard and the White House. That was put out by Little Feather Books. And of course, Garden of Rain was just released in May of this year. So brand new book. He is an assistant adjunct professor at Northern Virginia Community College and associate editor at Potomac Review. And he's a graduate of George Mason University, MFA's program in creative writing. So I think that's enough technical background. Now let's find out a little bit about Mike the man, and certainly Mike the poet. I love your writing. You have the ability to dance with words in a way that is simply just so inviting. Talk about what it is that you, where do you go when you decide to embrace a new poem? Because you have this lyricism, this almost mystery about your writing. Talk to me about that.
Well, physically where I go is my office. But once I get there, which, by the way, I get up at 4 in the morning to write.
Oh, so you're one of those
I'm
poets.
one of those poets.
Oh, I tip my hat if I had one on.
Well, I have to do that because it's quiet. Plus, I have to go to my day job, so you know that gets my writing in. But where do I go is a very interesting question. I usually go off into some Netherland. I connect with something outside of me. Okay. To the point where I almost don't even know what's physically around me. If it's a poem, it could be that I'm connecting with the music, or I'm connecting with the theme or the words. If it's a piece of fiction, I may be connecting with the characters and actually listening to the characters speak.
Okay. So the characters come alive. They take on a life of their own.
Yeah, some people think I'm nuts, but you know, the characters really do speak to each other and to me. Okay. That's basically how I get my stories written. Okay.
Now, in addition to the mystery of your writing and the fiction and the fantasy of your writing, you're also known for the politics of your subject matter. You talk about world events as well as local happenings, often with satire. So that's a whole nother nuance to your writing. How do you separate the fictional fantasy from the very serious political and issues, contemporary issues of the day?
Well, the contemporary issues of the day are often disturbing, maybe the word. Yeah. Whether it's what's happening in Baltimore recently or what's happening in Syria, overseas. It's enough to make you really wonder where we're going and why Why are we putting up with this?
And you say we. Who is we?
We, all of us. I mean, we are all...
Humanity.
Humanity.
Okay.
We are all responsible for Baltimore. We are all responsible for Syria.
Yes.
But if you want to educate people about that, you have to find ways to engage people. And so satire is one of them, because it can make people laugh at themselves, it can make people laugh at what's going on around them, but it can also bring some sort of light.
Pointed attention to the issues.
Exactly.
Right. Yes, okay.
And illuminate that issue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, the book, satire. The Wizard, we're going to jump around a bit. So let's talk about The Wizard in the White House. This is Mike's book, The Wizard and the White House, and talk about, well, you talk about it. What prompted you to take on the very serious issues that you did in such a novel as The Wizard in the White House? And tell the audience a little bit about this book so that, first of all, it's not poetry. This one is not poetry.
Yeah, this is a novel. I really, originally when I started this novel, I wanted to deal with a president, because I feel that presidents, no matter who they are, whether it's Obama or Bush or whoever, they are hostages.
Okay.
They are not who they really want to be.
Okay.
I really feel there are pressures and things that are going behind the scenes that are forcing them to make the decisions that they make.
Hence The Wizard.
Hence The Wizard.
Okay.
But that was the original premise. And then I started, playing with this, and, as I told you before we went on the air, there are 4 stories to this.
Okay.
The president, who is, kind of based on George Bush.
Okay.
But it is not George Bush.
Right.
Who wakes up one day and discovers that his mouth has disappeared.
A president with no mouth. Now
that is, can be a serious issue.
I would say. Okay.
Because he can't speak to the nation, he can't speak to the cabinet, and literally this creates a crisis, in the novel.
Yeah.
Especially because he has to give a major speech that very day, and he no longer can. But at the same time, across town in Southeast Washington, we have Larry White, who's an African-American who wakes up at the same time, on the same day, and discovers that he has 2 mouths.
Okay.
His own and obviously the president's.
The president's.
So Larry, throughout this book, is actually speaking in 2 voices.
Okay.
Which kind of come together and form a comedy.
Okay, and then there's 2 other characters as well that...
And then there is a Pakistani family. Chowdhury is a local butcher from Pakistan. He's a Pakistani immigrant, has a butcher shop in Arlington. He is walking along the tidal basin, and he's a voice that says he's been chosen to save the president from some unspecified disaster.
Okay, I think that's enough for anybody who's interested in this book to know this is what it's about. So we're going to move quickly on because time gets away. But trust me, The Wizard in the White House, it's quite a fiction novel that addresses many social issues on a global basis. So check it out and find out about this wonderful writer, Mike Mazzeo. Now, Mike, your latest book, The Garden of Rain. I love some of the poems that I read in this book. There's love poetry. There's the Ode to Spring. I absolutely, you've got to share that with our audience before the set is over today. So the words are absolutely just dancing. There was, I want to make, there's one reference that I absolutely wanted to reference here. When you talk about even the butterflies could not contain their silent laughter, and the closing line, the time has come to waltz with the wind. This poem absolutely sings of spring. How did you come to that poem?
Well, I wrote it either at the very end of a very bad winter, which wasn't this one, it was the last year's.
Okay.
Or it could have been at the very beginning of spring, but I think it was the end of that winter. I was so tired of snow. Although I'm from New York, you know, I like snow, but this was just too much.
Okay.
But I wanted to get, you know how that feeling of spring is where you're just kind of almost drunk.
Okay.
You know, things just pass through you and you want to jump for joy. I wanted to get that feeling. And so that's where some of those lines
It's a beautiful, it's absolutely beautiful poem. And it's not a long poem, but it's one that I think all of us who are familiar with it, we receive spring in our spirits when we read that poem. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. In addition to those types of issues, you deal with spirituality. There's something that you do that I want to commend you publicly for, and that is your work with youth. In particular, you just did the 30 for 30, which for maybe some of our viewers may not know, but poets many poets challenge themselves, and I say themselves and not ourselves because I've never accepted the challenge, but 30 for 30 is something where poets write a poem a day for the month of April, which is National Poetry Month. And I think it's incredible that you not only just sponsored 30 for 30, but you also brought youth into that. Tell us briefly, because I know time is flying, but tell us briefly about the students that you worked with and how was that for you this year? Well,
that was a very interesting experience because we had a contest, and the goal was to have the top 3 students for their poems to be published on my website, which they were, and to appear on Radio Hotline with Dennis Price, which is tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Okay. So they're really excited, and that was the goal, was to get students to be excited about poetry.
Yes.
The interesting thing was that 2 students wrote these poems that were sort of titled, "I Hate Poetry." And I thought that was great.
Yes.
Great because, one, they were being honest.
Yes.
And I think poetry demands honesty.
Okay.
But 2, because, you know, they were fun poems.
Okay.
And they were ironic as well, because...
So this give back, this is one of your give backs to the community.
This is one of my give backs. I think every poet, every writer, maybe every individual should give back to the community, because we come from the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're known also for collaborations. I think you're connected with Split. Are you connected with Split This World?
I'm not really.
Okay.
But I've done performance collaborations with artists and musicians.
Yes.
Which have turned out to be quite interesting.
Okay, okay. Well, if there was something that you would say to a young person who's contemplating poetry, what approach or what words of wisdom would you share? Because you've been now at this poetry thing for how long?
Almost 50 years, maybe.
Okay, okay. So I would venture to say, both as a poet, as an educator, as one who works with young people, and as a community builder, what would you advise young persons who are considering poetry?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is to read. Read everything they can read.
Yes. Poetry,
fiction. Learn what's out there and read all types of poetry, not just one type of poetry. Yes. The other thing that may sound unusual for people, but I don't like rhymed poems for the most part, because there are only so many rhymes you can make. So I try to get people to think past the rhyme.
Think past the rhymes.
Do something creative and original.
Okay. So when you have a lot of lyricism in your poetry, metaphor, when you talk about the issues, juxtaposition even, especially with satire, word placement, concept adjustment is something that you can do so many different approaches to subjects that may have been hashed and rehashed and rehashed. So voices are absolutely available, that if you don't necessarily try to get locked into the rhyme, which sometimes can sound sing-songy, and we don't want that for poets. Okay, so if you were to tell our guests how they can get your book.
Well, they can get it a number of ways. Okay. They can go to Amazon, which is the easiest way. But they can also come to my website, which is www.mikemaggio.net, and purchase it through there. And in that case, you would get a signed copy.
Okay.
So if it's through my website, signed copy; through Amazon, non-signed.
Okay, okay. And is there a venue, or are there venues that are known for Mike Maggio to frequent?
Reston News Bookshop. I'm giving a reading there on Saturday, and I've done a number of readings. I've done stuff at Bus Boys and Poets, though not in recent years. But yeah, different venues around town. Annie's Art Gallery, where
Yes.
you've had me.
Yes, I've been blessed to have you there.
Which was a wonderful experience.
Yeah. I was. I want to share a bit about, there are many writers and poets who are lifting words of encouragement and support for your writings. I see that Grace Cavallari, who is the host of course, The Poet and the Poem, she did a review of The Keepers, and there is words of encouragement and a review by Ethelbert Miller, who also evidently is very much a supporter of your works. When you talk about writing for literary publications such as the scholarly reviews and what have you, what is the difference between that and, well, I guess I should say, if you were to encourage a person who is just starting out, should they try the academic approach, or should they try more community-based?
I would start with the community-based
Okay.
because that way you build an audience.
Okay.
And then you can start going to some of the more popular, not necessarily literary, but popular
Okay.
journals, magazines. There are so many of them. Just pick up a copy of Poets and Writers. They're always
Poets and Writers, absolutely.
They're always
okay, so we're going to hear some of your poetry. I'll share a couple of poems today too, but we're definitely going to hear poetry by Mike Maggio, who we're excited to have here on Sojourn with Words, the local access station here in Prince George's County, Maryland. Thank you so much, and hey, let's take a listen.
They say that when you're facing extreme danger, your life flashes before you. If you think that's sad, consider facing it before you even have enough life to flash before your eyes. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Deaths and injuries can be prevented by using the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to know what is appropriate for each age and size.
Those daffodils you wore, lithe and breezy, when the sun nuzzled the snow-dipped fields, and even the butterflies could not contain their silent laughter. Was that your way of shrugging off all those naked, wasted nights? For 7 months I have lain here, waiting for your slender tongue to spark a bit of warmth between these frigid, snow-white cheeks. Come now, this is not the time for dithering. The trees are bursting. The crocuses have begun their famous dance. Up, up, you lazy old bear, wake up, shed those hoary scales. Let your skin drink the sacred dew. Let God's creatures at last come out to play. The time has come to waltz with the wind. Truth is, I forget I love you. Sometimes. I forget the trees we planted in our little forest, the raindrops we gathered on those gray-washed days. These days, when anger clouds your face like a frenzied storm, when selfishness seizes me, steals me to my perfect, lonesome hell. Truth is, we think we love when what we love is love itself. When we forget the you in me, the I in you, pairing through this diaphany of grief and joy, peeling away the layers like the skin of a wild onion, weeping, yearning, struggling to reach the succulent core. Truth is, I forget to love. I forget that moment, un jour, habibati, mi amore, when at first, at last, I knew. Almost touched myself today, not far from the place that separates time. Time and time again, clouds have seized me by the hand, have bundled me off to the edge of the sky, where the Iceman lies, where truth is humbled into stony silence. If you ask me where the sun shines, I will point to a hole in the heavens. There, beside the still, shallow pool, with your eyes tuned to God, you might gather your reflection into a clarion bell of light.
Nursing is one of the most respected professions in the nation, and most people don't realize that nurses, just like physicians, can be nationally certified in their nursing specialty.
Nurses are probably the foremost providers of care throughout the healthcare system. Certification is an asset to the nursing field, and it ensures that nurses keep up with the changes that are constantly coming in healthcare.
As a professional, I really believe that we have an obligation to ourselves and to our patients to demonstrate national competency in our area of specialization.
Being NCC certified was a professional and personal goal of mine. I believe it validates my skills and knowledge while allowing me to give improved care to my tiny patients.
NCC certified nurses make a difference in the health care of women and their children. Learn more. Visit nccwebsite.org.
We as mothers. We as mothers muffle our cries, stifle tears that well in our eyes, hide fears from sons who either have not yet come to expect limited horizons, or who have already had them blocked by the machinery built for no purpose except to ensure Black sons do not come to expect to revel in the light of day. That which others savor as a matter of course, the course is rigged with trip-ups, opportunities blocked, doors locked, information denied, steered to courts, athletic or judicial. Too many judges waiting for signals that no one cares. So another dream turns nightmare. Opportunity blocked for yet another who stands before her or him, powerless against whim, or worse. The curse of being began before their birth. I have witnessed when sons grown to man have choices forced upon them, restricted voice, choices forced, arrested quest for freedom. I have seen from too close a vantage point the slender thread upon which futures dangle, life strangled even from me. The process was the same, except when village gathered, showed it mattered to more than one. Each is someone's son, standing on the ledge, at the precipice, fate's door, resulting from choice or actions, sometimes not their own, keys, not just withheld, but jangled by others whose whim could strangle or set free. The machinery is in place. The complex compels that prison population goals must be met, for the pipeline flows free in this country. So step carefully, young man. Understand the odds are not in your favor. Understand the world won't understand your mistakes or missteps as such. No matter your intent, rules broken or bent mean you must pay more than others, more than makes sense, except in coffers. It's not just about you, seldom about justice. There's lubrication to be done for the machinery. So when you hand yourself over on a platter, it won't matter that you are prized above all others by your mothers. It won't change a thing how hard we pray, work, the countless songs we sing, the hymns, lifting to Him our fervent desire that you be safe. The heartbreaks that come too often knowing how much your crime is connected to your color. We, as mothers, live each day knowing that showing our pain only weakens you. So we pray that somehow you receive enough from our sterner stuff to find and get through, to find and get through, to find and get through to a day designed not to kill you, but to lift you, to gift you with freedom. For this, we as mothers willingly give our all while praying for more. We as mothers.
The birds begin at 4. I have heard them where she lies. The brook's secret murmur, the blissful sighs of the cricket's song. When she breathes, the stars whisper. When she smiles, the sky is a field of ancient poppies, swaying in the moonlight, praying in the moonlight. I have heard the birds sing where she lies. Listen to your soul. Let life's mysteries fill you with song. In the deep, cool morning, where she lies, where she lies.
When every moment matters and a hand reaches out, when a life is saved, when heartbreak turns to hope, you're there through the American Red Cross. Use this moment to join us today. Visit redcross.org.